I came into contact with several people through my experience that kind of treated me like I was broken. And in some ways I was, but I didn't need to feel that from other people in addition to myself. So these are not, I would say these are not broken people. These are very strong people who are really hurting.
We can do better than that. We must do better than that. To create hope and reduce stigma so that people can heal faster, University Health Truman Medical Centers collaborated with the Jackson County Community Mental Health Board. We wanted to empower persons with experience of trauma and mental illness to seek new opportunities to thrive. So, we gathered a group of people and began by teaching them to ask a different question. Instead of, "What's wrong with you?" we asked, "What happened to you?"
Just early on, I had trauma from my father passed away when I was in college, and so that was really difficult. And so developing coping skills surrounding that was really difficult. And so just dealing with anxiety and depression surrounding that, and then transitioning into a professional role as a counselor was challenging. And how do I relate that to my job?
I was diagnosed with PTSD several years ago after surviving some intimate partner violence and several cases of sexual assault in a past relationship.
I came to the United States to do music therapy, and one of my first experiences was at a conference, and they started with a drum circle. And for someone who's been kind of in a war zone, and having drums was not very helpful. And that's when I first had my first flashback. And that's kind of where the whole thing about the mental illness started, surfacing more and more. So that's when my professors recommended me to go, seek some help, and I was diagnosed with PTSD.
I had the onset of mental illness late. For most people, it's in their teens, late teens, and early 20s. I didn't start having symptoms in my late 20s and early 30s. So I started dropping off. I wasn't able to sleep, and it really affected my behavior. I was tired all the time, and I never got to refresh. People would go to sleep, and whatever they were going through, they kind of refresh and get a good start, but it was just a wear and tear on me. So one thing led to another. I was in a wreck, and I had a little head trauma, and that really affected me as well. And with all the things adding up, it really seemed to be a trigger for the onset of mental illness.
In September of 2014, my husband David retired from a 30-year law enforcement career, and less than 3 months after he retired, on Thanksgiving weekend, he drove to the back of our neighborhood and shot and killed himself. And after several months, when I could sort of get my legs under me, that incident led me on a journey of discovery about trauma and how trauma impacts the brain and the body and people's lives.
We created a safe space, a space of acceptance and compassion, where group members could build relationships with other people who had experience of mental illness and trauma. And in this context of safety, we explored a strengths-based approach. And what happened was that group members began to realize that what they had once seen as a burden of their illness or their past was in reality a source of their own wisdom and their own strength.
Well, this was a great project. We met with all kinds of people in different areas of life, And the main thing I got out of it was that no one was there to say, I am a depression, my name is so-and-so, or I am a bipolar, and my name is so-and-so. Everybody said, my name is so-and-so, and I happen to have this mental illness or this disease, but it doesn't rule and regulate my life. So that was the main thing I learned from it. And it was just a lot of positive people doing a lot of different positive things in different areas and walks of life. So that really encouraged me to continue to go forward and pursue my own goals.
Professionally, this project gave me the opportunity to gain some skills to help the people that I serve. And one of the best things that we got was, the strengths-based model. And Dr. Kisthardt gave us a form, and it really allowed students to develop their own language around strengths. And I noticed that students were able to really leverage and utilize their own language versus like typical, strengths-based assessments where they name what their strengths are. But when students are able to name their own strengths, and they develop that language surrounding that, it really made a difference for them.
Hearing the stories of other people is, like, words are so powerful, and this is about words, and just hearing other people's stories is so empowering. And so, just because I've lived through what I've lived through does not mean that I've written the book on traumatic experiences. So hearing other people's, that will never not be useful.
Having everything, not knock me down, but kind of give me strength, that I say that I'm not here, despite it, I'm here because of it. Mm-hmm. Because that's who I am. It just made me that much stronger and that much more aware of other things in the world that make me appreciate life more. So I think that just made me be more strong and just be resilient. I think that's one of the main things.
I think one of the number one strengths I've gained is just being resilient. I learned to bounce back through a lot of situations. I had a lot of goals, and once I got sick, it seemed like those goals were on hold, and ended up going to a state mental hospital. And at that point, I was really in despair. But at some point, through the employees who worked there and through my own daily devotions, I began to see that this was just a pitfall, but it wasn't the end, of my journey. So I think resilience is the number one strength that I have, my faith in God, but just learning how to bounce back no matter what the situation is.
I'm really grateful to Truman Medical Centers and this program. I've learned so much about trauma-informed, trauma-sensitive approaches to life, and definitely to my classes and my projects. And the strengths-based focus definitely also helps me work with this demographic that I'm working with in a healthy and progressive way.
I think there's a certain level of resiliency that just naturally comes with living through things. You make the choice that you're going to go on, and then you just do that, and the payoff for that is resiliency. Also, I think it became really important for me to identify myself as a survivor of what I survived, for the purpose of breaking stigma and making it easier for others who have been through the same, because it's so hard. And even just identifying yourself is really powerful.
One of the most powerful things that came out of this project was the way that group members created a community of persons that understood one another. And we were inspired as group members, with the support and encouragement of one another, created these new opportunities to improve their lives, sometimes the lives of one another in the group and the lives of those around them beyond the group. The ripple effects of this project continue to enhance resilience in our community to this day.
All my work has been in peer support work, and when they brought people that are not in the peer support world and and learning that, a lot of other people and other professions also, have lived experience, that kind of opened my eyes to the possibilities of like what's beyond. So that kind of made me think of like, okay, what is next for me besides my position as the supervisor for a program that is mainly run by peer supporters or people with lived experience. So that's when I just decided to take a position in management. And by me doing that, which was a position that was kind of a little different than I was doing at a group home, I was able to encourage other peer supporters that worked for me to come with me and to be empowered to see beyond their peer support role. And actually 3 of them decided to move on too with that position, and they became mental health techs. And what's interesting is that at least 2 of these people that came with me also used to live in a group home in the past, and now they're at a position where they're able to help others like they were helped before. So that just kind of brings another layer to that support that they can provide.
I have a book coming out in January. It's called Mindfulness for Warriors. And it really is, I tell the story of my husband. I talk about what I interpret a warrior to be, which is really anybody who's willing to fight for others and for the greater good. And I interviewed 9 first responders in this book who all struggled similarly to my husband and found healing paths and are thriving, survived and are thriving. And that's the heart of the book, is these interviews, these first responders. And then there's a segment that just talks about meditation and mindfulness in very simple ways to start to implement these practices and try them for stress reduction and building resilience.
Right now I'm a mental health tech for Truman Medical Center. And what that is, I work at a group home with people who have a mental illness, adults, and we help them gain the confidence and the tools necessary to get back out there on their own. And one of the main aspects of the job is administering medications. So I went from a person who was not on medication, who desperately needed medication and didn't know it, to now I'm helping administer medications, which is a really big deal.
I am a recovery coach at Truman Medical Center. I'm in the futures department, so I work with kids. I'm also a master's in social work grad student at KU, and I am an intern at Kids TLC in their intensive outpatient program.
My name is Deah, and my story is my strength.
My name is Stella, and my story is my strength.
My name is Kim, and my story is my strength.
My name is Deah, and my story is my strength.
My name is Roxanne, and my story is my strength.
Me llamo Dianne, y mi historia es mi fortaleza.
My name is Mark, and my story is my strength.
My name is Ricki. My story is my strength.
My name is Mirna, and my story is my strength.
My name is Erica, and my story is my strength.
My name is Jay, and my story is my strength.